Assalamu alaikum, grade 3. Welcome to our social studies class. Children, today we will start a new lesson, early humans. In this lesson, we will learn about the life of early humans. Early humans, human beings who lived long years ago. In this lesson, we shall learn life of early humans as hunters and gatherers. Hunters, one who hunts, one who kills animals for food and other purposes, and gatherers, one who gathers food. We shall also learn how the early humans made and used fire and how they began to farm gradually, how they began cultivation of crops. Long years ago, when the earth was very different from today. Thousands and thousands of years ago, the earth was completely different from today. It was entirely covered with forests and rivers. And today you can see concrete buildings, concrete roads everywhere, malls, bridges, and so on. But many years ago, there were only jungles all around. At that time, there lived early humans who were like us, yet not so like us. They looked like us, but they were not the same as we are. Early humans learned to adjust to their natural environment. They learned to live in their natural habitat. They learned to adjust with their surroundings in the forests. They lived in caves and learned to make tools using stones and animal bones. Early humans used stone tools for hunting, killing animals. Early humans discovered how to make and use fire, which was a turning point in their lives. The discovery of fire brought a drastic change in the life of early humans. They used fire to cook raw meat and also to keep themselves warm. Initially, they used to hunt animals and eat its flesh raw. But after the discovery of fire, they started cooking the raw meat. Now, in the blanks given below, you will mention the two ways in which early humans used fire. Let's get started. Early humans were hunters, gatherers. As I said before, they used to hunt animals for flesh and other purposes, and they used to gather different food items in the forest. They made tools and weapons of stones for hunting and gathering food. They made stone tools for hunting, for killing animals and gathering food. Early humans learnt how to make fire. It is said that once they were sitting and rubbing stones against each other, they discovered that it had a fiery spark, and that brought the discovery of fire. Fire comes out from a special stone called flint. Early humans began farming and settled down. After they started the cultivation of crops, they began to settle. Long, long ago, when early humans first appeared on earth, they did not know how to read and write. They were illiterate, they were uneducated. So there is no written history of that time. When the early humans appeared, there is no written history of that time. Therefore, this period is known as prehistory. The time period that comes after the invention of writing is called history. Now, as there were no written records of the prehistoric period, of the time when the early humans lived, how do we learn about them? Yes, archaeologists, we have learned about the archaeologists in the previous lessons, is a person who digs the ground to find different things, different objects, to learn about history. So, archaeologists help us learn about the early humans. They dig into the ground to find remains such as bones of people, animals that lived in the past. They find out the skeletons, the remains of the people and animals who lived in the past. They also look at objects such as tools, pots, coins, and other things to know about that period. They collect all these things, they study them, and try to find out more about them. The birth of early humans. In prehistoric times, the earth was very different from what it is today. Its climate was too cold. The earth was covered with forests and trees and rivers everywhere. That is the reason its climate was too cold. Humans were also very different from what they are today. Have you ever seen a chimpanzee? I hope you all must have seen a chimpanzee, maybe in a zoo or not. For sure, you must have seen it in the Discovery and National Geographic channels. You will be surprised to know that chimpanzees are our cousins. Many, many years ago, long back, chimpanzees and humans had a common ancestor, Ancestor our forefathers. Father are our ancestors. So, chimpanzee and humans had a common ancestor named the great ape who lived in Africa. The scientific name for human beings is Homo sapiens, which means wise man. Wise means intelligent. Now let's study the life of early humans as hunters and gatherers. The life of early humans was difficult and dangerous. Their life was not easy, and it was dangerous because they lived in forest. They were all surrounded by wild animals, and they had to struggle very hard in order to search food. They moved from one place to another in search of food and water. They had to wander from one place to another as they did not know how to grow crops. Early humans did not know agriculture. They ate berries, nuts, and roots which they plucked from the trees and dug out from the ground. They also collected wild fruits and seeds. They used to hunt animals for meat, which they ate raw because they had not learned how to make and use fire. Before the discovery of fire, early humans ate raw meat. Raw meat means uncooked meat. As they lived by hunting animals and gathering other food items, early humans were known as hunters and gatherers. After some time, early humans learned to make tools of stones and bones of animals. And these tools and weapons were used by them to keep wild animals away. And with the help of these tools and weapons, they dug up roots from the ground to eat. They also used these tools to clean the skin of animals. They hunted and used these animal skins as clothes. They cleared the skins and used it to cover themselves. On the top of the page, you can see two images. In the first image, you can see the early humans moving from one place to another, and in the second image, you can see the tools and weapons made by the early humans using stones. So, the time when the early humans made and used tools and weapons using stones is known as the Stone Age. Now, let's learn how did the early humans made and used fire. For thousands and thousands of years, Stone Age people moved from place to place. in search of food and water. One thing that changed the life of early humans forever was the discovery of how to make and use fire. The discovery of fire drastically changed the life of the Stone Age people or the early humans. Why was it a turning point? Why did the discovery of fire brought a big change in their life? Let's study. Early humans discovered that fire scared away wild animals. They learned that they could protect themselves from the wild animals in the forest using fire. Fire gave light and heat and kept them warm inside the cold cave. Later, early humans learned to use fire to cook food. The discovery of fire brought a big change in the life of early humans. To some extent, it gave them comfort. You can see in the pictures given below in the first picture, it is scaring the wild animals. The second picture, they are warming up inside the cave, and in the third picture, they are cooking food using fire. Now we shall learn how the early humans moved from hunting and gathering to farming, from hunter gatherers to farmers. As time passed, as time went, early humans noticed that plants grew from seeds. They learned that plants grew from seeds. They learned about edible fruits, vegetables, leaves, and roots. Edible means which can be eaten. The early humans learned about the fruits, vegetables, leaves, and roots which could be eaten. This led to the discovery of farming. The first crops grown by early humans were wheat and barley. Early humans also began to tame and keep some animals. Tame means which is not dangerous. Animals which are not dangerous. So the early humans began to keep some animals such as sheep, goats, bullocks, cows, and dogs. This is known as the domestication of animals. They started domesticating animals. Now, why was the discovery of farming a turning point in the life of early humans? Let's learn. The beginning of farming changed the way the Stone Age people got their food and lived. Initially, we have learned they used to hunt animals and collect food from the forest. But the beginning of farming brought a change in the way they obtained their food and the way they lived. Now they did not have to move from place to place to hunt animals and search food. They lived in one place and some built small mud houses to live in. Initially, we learned that the early humans used to live in caves, but after the discovery of farming, they started living in one place and they also built mud houses to live in. They built their houses together and thus small villages came up. When the early humans started building their houses together, small villages came into being. I hope you have understood the lesson nicely. We have completed the lesson over here. I'll be posting y'all the notes of this chapter. Let's quickly summarize the key points. Thousands and thousands of years ago, the earth was completely different from what it is today. When the early humans appeared on the earth, they did not know how to read and write. This period of time is known as prehistory. There are no written records of prehistoric period. Early humans lived by hunting and gathering. They used to hunt animals for food and they used to gather different food items from the forest. Therefore, they are also known as hunters and gatherers. They learned to make tools out of stones and animal bones. These stone tools and weapons were used by them to hunt animals and dig the ground. Later on, the early humans learned to make fire. The discovery of fire was a major turning point in the life of early humans. After a long time, they began to cultivate crops. The early humans began farming. This too was a turning point in their lives. They started settling after the beginning of farming.